Yeah, well, I'm sorry I ruined you. You will never be the same. I'm sorry I ruined you. Is that the cold open now? I'm sorry I ruined you. Boom, boom. That's the noise it plays. Like, what is our theme tune like? I've never actually listened to this part. Is it like Seinfeld? Ba ba
Did you never
bow,
listen
ba
to the
ba ba bow.
effort goes into this, Nick. Effort goes
Maybe for
into
you.
editing and producing this.
Let's turn up like a hobo and just like try drift into town in the winds.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Expert Commander. I am your host, Christopher Armour.
Hello, boys and girls. It's me. It's Nick.
And we're in 2019 now.
Yeah, yeah.
We did it. We made it, Nick. We made it.
I know, but you right. So the thing is, like, everyone was doing that thing where they post like memes, being like, I just like they was like posting things like "fuck 2018," and
Yes.
it's been a really it was a all right. 2018 was like a bad year, politically,
Yes, agreed.
um, just sort of philosophically bad, but on a sort of personal level, I quite enjoyed it.
Oh, good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that, Nick. I'm glad.
Yeah. But yeah, no, 2019, not fucking around so far. It's been a very busy year for me.
Yeah, we are 24 at time of recording. We're 24 days into 2019, and 2018 already feels like it was a million years ago.
Yeah, 2018 felt like it was like, fairly like the warm-up round for so it's another roller coaster ride into British and world history.
You teased me a moment before we started this podcast, Nick. You were like, "I'm just gonna go and fill up my glass, and I'm gonna tell you a tragic story."
Yeah.
And then I heard the sound of like your microphone falling to the floor,
Yeah.
and and the sound of you dashing out of the room. So please regale me.
So, we're going to discuss the ups, downs, lefts, rights, and sideways of 2018. We're going to do our best and worst list like we did last year
Yes, we are.
in this episode. And probably the standout moment, the highlight for me of 2018. I did a lot.
Yes.
I did a lot, but the highlight moment was probably buying myself an iPad Pro. Right? It's like, yeah.
I just you are clear that that doesn't countenance doing something.
Hey, just this is personal achievement. Like I did a thing.
Yeah, so
What
that's
the
not an achievement.
fuck did you do in 2018?
So in 2018, Nick discovered the charms of conspicuous consumption. is
Yeah,
what we're
yeah,
saying.
yeah. Totes did. Like, I like the fact that I went on holiday for a long period of time to Japan. You
Yep.
visited. Towards the tail end of the year, my friend Joe visited from Japan, so it's sort of an exchange project. Send your hipsters over here. We then send them back over that way.
Yeah, but we run like a hipster amnesty
Yeah,
over
yeah,
here
yeah,
at
yeah.
Expert Commander Towers.
Yeah. Met my girlfriend. I did Thought Bubble, branched out by myself as a creator. But no, buying the iPad, that was like the best bit. Car passes MOT without any form of changes.
Yeah.
Nope, totally the iPad. And
You hold the iPad close at night and are just like, I do this for you.
I live in service of the iPad now. Like, in many ways they say that, technology works for you. I'm like, no, sir. I work for the iPad. I do everything to give it a lifestyle that it's become accustomed to.
When you buy something that's just like slightly nicer than you ordinarily would, and you bring
Yeah.
it home, and you're like clear a little space for it, like just so that it feels appreciated.
It's when I
Do you ever do
when I
that?
bought my car, aside from the fact that I was like, holy shit, somebody's gonna let me drive.
Yeah, sure.
The other thought was, oh no, this is now the most expensive thing I own.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So what I did.
And the most quickly depreciating in value.
Oh
thing
yeah,
you
you can
own
sit
as well.
there if it's real quiet and you lean in, you can hear it, the value and price. But yeah, so actually, fun fact about that was when I got my car, I used to park it in a place where I could see it from my bedroom window. So if I woke up in a panic in the middle of the night, I knew it was there. So I bought his iPad, and I bought an iPad because I was peer pressured into it by
That's how everybody buys Apple
colleagues.
products. Don't worry.
People in the comics world peer pressured me into buying one.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, to be
Well,
honest.
it was just like everyone. I was a at football this year. It was like everyone had been infected by disease. Everyone's like, yeah, so I got an iPad and now I do 50 comics a minute, and they all look amazing. And I've won 3 Eisners, and I've had to extend my mantelpiece to keep all the wards there. I've
And I
got
can
for
no
all the
longer
books.
fit through doors because of my giant balls.
Yeah, exactly. Like all the men, women, everyone in between, all the spectrums of sexuality and gender were like, I have giant iPad balls.
Yeah, I bought an iPad and now I regularly vomit pure gold,
Yeah,
making me the richest man alive.
it's bro. Because it turns out I thought they were all over exaggerating. They ain't. But either
No,
way,
I've seen your balls, Nick. They weren't exaggerating.
so and it's kind of, and I'm doing all this artwork on it. It's now my focus is to do art on the iPad as well as everything else, because I thought
Sure.
I'm not doing enough with my life. I need to take up at least 9 more hobbies. And yeah, so it's like learning to draw again. It's like learning a new language. So I was trying
How
to take.
so?
Well, it's so I've been having to relearn all this kind of stuff. Managing the iPad pencil, drawing
Uh-huh.
straight on the computer rather than sort of doing my pencils and stuff separately. And my art is giving a leaps and bounds, as I'm sure you'd agree. I really
I
like what
absolutely would. Yes, we'll put in some clips of your
I
Instagram
love
feed
what
here
I'm doing at
now.
the moment. I think that my artwork is really looking great, and I mean, obviously, it's the same way as like you can't buy a pen that makes you draw,
No, of course.
but you can buy, a higher quality pen that will allow you to draw a better line or whatever.
Yes, of course. And I had a similar experience today actually because I
You
was
bought a
playing
Fender
tennis at the
Stratocaster.
no, actually, no. One of my lesser hobbies. No, I was playing tennis at the weekend, and I had like a tennis rite of passage because I broke my tennis racket.
I saw the picture. It was
Yeah,
gruesome.
it
So
was
much
it was a
blood.
mess. And
So
but
much
the thing
blood.
about this tennis racket is like I got it in about 2002.
I honestly thought you'd say something like, "I got it in a raffle."
Worse. It was a promotional offer from Robinson's Fruit and Barley, who
Oh,
sponsored who sponsored Wimbledon. And if you
also,
sent
good
off
luck
like
editing out that me just shouting "ooh" down the microphone.
and if you sent off like 5 bottle caps and like £5 for postage, they'd send you this Tim Henman signature tennis racket. Just bear in mind, Tim Henman retired from professional tennis in
Yeah,
2007,
but Andy
so
Murray's
it was
gone now,
it was
so
like,
like
okay, this thing's had a good run. This thing has it's had a good run. It doesn't owe me anything. So I went to Sports Direct today and found a racket that I thought, oh, this is nice. This is really light and it's really swooshy and it fits my style. Flipped it over. Tim Henman's gurning face is staring out at me from the like piece of paper they put to protect the strings, and I'm like, it's been 12 years. Who is still licensing Tim Henman's face to sell tennis rackets?
probably
And the
him
answer is
himself.
Slazenger, apparently.
Tim Henman. Tim Henman's like in the same way Ainsley Harriott is retired from cookery to
Yeah.
make couscous in a bathtub somewhere. Tim Henman is just like knitting his own tennis rackets.
Yeah.
So okay, fine. My iPad is my Tim Henman tennis racket. But
Yes.
in many ways, I imagine you watch a tennis match and go, I'm going to observe their form and see if I can improve my ability to hit balls with a paddle.
That is fucking exactly what I do,
Yeah,
Nick.
that's that.
Yes.
You use that exact. I've heard you. You use that exact sentence structure. I was online and I was sort of like looking at other iPad art and sort of looking at people who've bought these iPads who are
Yeah.
and sort of go copying what they do. And one of the suggestions was buy a screen protector, a matte screen protector, because
Oh,
it
okay.
adds a surface is more akin to drawing on paper.
Oh, that makes sense because it will have more resistance, I suppose,
Exactly.
won't
So
it?
you get more resistance, and it gives you an experience that's more like drawing on an actual like resistive surface rather than just a piece of plastic. So I bought one, and in the process of buying, well, I bought it. I bought it off Amazon.
Hmm.
Other giant capitalist dystopian entities are available, and in the process of fixing it, it took 2 adults to put it on. Yeah.
Like moving a piano.
Well, first of all, the iPad Pro that I bought is the size of
A piano.
Switzerland. Like it's big. Okay, went for the largest one Why scrimp on size? To the degree that when my friend who pressured me was like, "I can't believe you went for that one." You,
And you're like, you are responsible
yeah,
for
this
this.
is
You
your
did
fault.
this. Don't abandon me
Look
now.
at the desert that I have purchased. Anyway, yeah, I bought a case for it, so if it does fall on me, I can try and get out from under it. um, but yeah, so I bought the big one. So putting on, like, have you ever had the stress levied upon you where you put on an iPhone screen protector and try and get it bubble
Yes.
free?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
I have.
terrifying. Imagine doing that on something 85 sizes bigger than your iPhone. So me and my sister put it on, and we ruined the screen protector in the process.
Oh no.
We scratched it to fuck. There were bubbles in it. It was a mess. And I was like, do you know what though? It's protecting the screen. If it makes my
It's
art look
doing its
better,
job.
I can always peel it off and stick another one on. Next thing, did not make my art better. It didn't.
Oh,
It just
that's a
added a
shame.
cheap, glassy texture to it. I was like, why have I done this? Like, if I wanted an expensive glassy texture, I could just leave it without the thing on.
Oh, so specifically the protector, you didn't find it made any difference to the feel of
Not
it.
at all. No.
Oh, okay. Well, fucking get rid of that shit.
Well, I was sat last night in my creative writing group that I run in Leeds, and I was sat there and
Yes.
I'm looking at the iPad because I take notes on it during the meeting. I mean, like, again, if you spend that sort of money on something, you can use it for everything. Like, you
Oh,
know,
of course.
basically,
Yeah.
there's draft excluder. I jam it under the door at night to make sure that nobody can, you know, just to make sure, sure.
And now you got a screen protector. You can use it as like a coaster as well.
Yeah, that
You
is
can fit like a whole round of drinks on it, like those trays you get in pubs.
you're not inaccurate. Not inaccurate. Right. So, and I noticed that it seems like the screen protector is coming off, and I'm like, oh,
Okay.
shit, well, it's removing itself. So I start to peel it, and it sort of splits into two bits.
Oh yeah, they do that, don't they? Yeah, because they're so rigid. They shatter like almost as easily as
Well,
the.
no, this
the
is
iPad
not
does.
this is not going the way you think it's going, sir.
Oh, okay, sorry. Go on.
Turns out that the screen protector had a protector on it.
Nick, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. So I've been just yeah. So I've been drawing like the bubbles and the scratches and the mess, the plasticky was just a film on the matte screen protector. I peeled it off, and this beautiful, flat, perfect, virginal surface of completely glare proof. And I've started drawing on it today. And it's like drawing on paper. It is incredible.
Yes.
And just sat there. The first thought for like the first probably, hour of discovery was, you fucking you don't deserve it. I contemplated giving it away.
You've double bagged it.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Tragic.
And I love this. Like you're running the creative writing group, and so like somebody's reading out one of their poems or something, and you're just like, oh, what's this? I'm going to peel the screen protector off, and you just have this religious experience.
Be
Is it just
screaming?
like it just sheds this exoskeleton in front of you?
It was bleak, man. That's my tragic tale. That's what I.
That's wonderful. You know what? That was 15 minutes worth of story, but it was worth it for that. It's 2019. 2018 was quite a good year for music, Nick.
Oh, it was amazing. It was a really, really good year for music. Yes.
Do you have a short list? I don't want you to do like just your album of the year straight off. Like let's chat about it. Let's do some warm up on this. What's your short list? What did you enjoy?
Okay, right. Well, give me a second while I just look at my notes.
Oh, you made notes as well.
If
I'm
there's
so proud of you.
one thing that I can do, it's music. Right? Having a taste in music is something that I can do. So yeah, no, it was a
That is
real
true.
it was a real good year for music. In many ways. I mean, I got to see some cool live shows. I got to go to download for the first time.
Yes, yeah, you did. You saw Marilyn Manson in the later years.
The latest year. Just
Latest years. Yeah.
Fucking hell, that man is a tragedy on legs.
Because we talked about this a bit at the time, and like Marilyn Manson only really makes sense as like a kind of genderless alien.
Well, like as a young. Well, no, he was never quite young, was he? He was still like maybe in his mid-30s when he started. Like,
Well, because he was a music journalist to begin with, wasn't he?
Brian.
Brian.
Yeah, Brian was. Yeah. Oh man, I still gotta one day. I am gonna just shout Brian at him until he like. Oh man, I told the anecdote, didn't I? Where I thought I saw him inside the press tent, so I just kept shouting Brian, and it just was some other guy. I was like, if I shout Marilyn Manson, people will think that I'm like, if I sort of cut my hands and go, "Oh Brian," like if he turns around, then obviously But yes.
And I don't want to I'm not going to get at him for like getting older or anything.
We should do aging freak. Cells don't divide properly anymore.
Either that or your other cells are just dividing too fucking fast. Look at this loser over here.
Oh man,
can't decide if he wants no cells or too many.
Motherfucker.
But yeah, just like he doesn't make sense as the character old.
Not anymore. No,
narratively, it just doesn't.
And also like there's a it was like when I saw the Pixies a couple of years ago.
Yes, yeah.
And Black Francis is there. First of all, misleading name. He's white.
It's true.
Yeah, white is.
I was surprised too.
As a driven snow. But he's there singing, and he's a pudgy millionaire.
Yeah,
like he's a fat old man singing about teenage rebellion and how like being who the debaser is and stuff like that. And Monkey's Gone to Heaven. I'm like, Monkey's Gone to Heaven, dude. You could buy Monkey Regenesis. Like there's. Don't need to complain about that. Just get a new monkey for fuck's sake. And it loses a bit of. It loses meaning that when the person who is singing these songs to you about sort of counterculture and teenage agony, when they are old and rich, you just sort of going, well, who are you to lecture me, pops?
I certainly agree with you on the rich part. One of my like arbitrary rules for music is that like if you if like as soon as your income ticks over like I don't know an arbitrary threshold, like you're not allowed to call yourself punk anymore, and you're not allowed to like call yourself counterculture.
Well, what happens when you start selling butter?
Yes, yeah. Pour one out for the Sex Pistols' credibility.
Well, I think that happened when their bassist killed a woman.
Yeah, and then himself, allegedly. I feel like in the 2000s there was also a Sex Pistols branded credit card as well.
What?
I have a very. I'll have to look this up, but I have a very distinct memory that there was a Sex Pistols.
I remember once when I was at university buying. I bought what do we called it? M&Ms. It said "Death to America" on them. Just to see if they would let me.
It's a bit on the nose, isn't it?
Just to see if they would let me. Like I don't. That's not my belief. I don't believe there should be any form of like "Death to America." I mean.
Oh, I see. So you had them personalized?
Yeah. You couldn't. It wasn't. Oh my god!
I didn't know.
Yeah, you got them on the M&M's website. You can personalize your M&M's, and I was like, what can I get away with? And like I was there doing it, going, someone's gonna stop me. Someone is at some point. Someone's gonna go, are you sure? Somebody's there typing in my bank card, and like. Do you want to do this? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it till you say no, and then just.
I'm sorry. Did you do this online or did you do this in a shop?
I didn't know in a shop. Like you're talking about my big balls earlier. They're not that big. Like hello, yes. What would you like on your M&Ms? I'd like the words "Death to America," please. Okay.
Could you make all the M&Ms the black flag of ISIS? Please?
Yeah, well, it didn't exist back then. They hadn't rebranded.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're still
slightly anachronistic. Caliphate joke.
Like, what's them? It's like, oh, you'll learn. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, wasn't it a good year for music?
It was a good year for music.
Good year for music.
What did you enjoy this year?
Okay, right. So, Courtney Barnett had her second solo album. I say second solo album because she had her first album. Courtney Barnett, but then she did the whole lot of Sea Lice with somebody else. Last year.
Oh, she did the thing with Kurt
Vile.
Vile.
That's a spice.
Yeah, Kurt Vile.
So it's nice to have her by herself on "Tell Me How You Really Feel," which is a great album.
Yes, it is a great album.
Yes, it is. This is a sort of like a back and forth they want from us. You're like, it's a good album. Yes, it is. Done. Father John Misty released God's Favorite Customer.
Yep.
Wonderful album again. The thing is, the dude. I think I enjoyed Fear Fun. But the album for me, the album for me was "I Love You, Honey Bear."
Yes, to be honest, I quite enjoyed. What was the album? I can't remember what the album after that was called.
It was
Pure Comedy.
Pure Comedy, which is
Yeah,
brilliant.
I enjoyed that, but I feel like I Love You, Honey Bear was like that was like his thesis
Yeah,
statement.
it was incredible.
For better or worse,
Yeah.
it was his thesis statement.
Okay. Good album, that one. Let's talk about. Oh yeah. So the thing is, you always talk about albums that you know you're gonna like. So when Courtney Barnett releases a new album, you're like, I know Courtney Barnett I know I'm gonna like this.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So like the OCs, they released an album. They released Smoke Reverser, which I think was their 22nd album.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Orc was your album of the year, I think, last year.
I think it was, yes, yeah, because I bought it. I
Orc
bought it
was.
over Christmas.
Yes,
It was
yeah.
kind of a late adopter for me. Was that one? And I got to see them in July. I think it was July
Yes.
or June. It was the night that England got booted out of the World Cup.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they were like, so the O2 Academy in Leeds was showing like them, like the band.
Yes.
But a lot of people were complaining that they were showing a band and not like saying, "No band from America, you are not playing tonight because football is coming home tonight."
Football waits for no man.
So that
I have to watch England lose against Croatia.
So we're gonna cancel the gig and allow people for money to come into our sweaty box and watch it on the big screen. But they put
when literally every other pub in every built-up area in the entire country is showing.
It was amazing. So that night,
and it's on terrestrial TV, like the fucking BBC had it.
Yeah.
Go home and watch it.
So it was.
You've got booze at home.
It was absolutely incredible, I have to say, for a variety of reasons. Primarily because the entire town had gone wild.
Yeah.
And I was out with my friend who remains nameless because of the story is slightly illegal. But we wanted to go somewhere to watch the football before the band. That's what I was trying to get out. And because I didn't quite want to watch it inside the O2 Academy Leeds, because I don't understand people who go to places like gig venues to watch sport. They smell like feet. Like the only reason you go to a gig space is to watch a gig.
Yeah, it's like you put up with the foot smell. Like that's not an attraction.
Yeah, it's
that's not a selling point.
It's yeah. You are willing to make sacrifices for the music.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I ended up going to see this band, and so it was really weird because the football was the support band. So also to watch it. Yeah. So we're sat and watching it, and then the OCs are sat on stage watching it, and they're American. They're like they don't give a shit. They're like, what is this crazy game? Why aren't we stopping every 5 minutes to have like watch Katy Perry get a boob out? Like. What is going on? And so yeah, we watched them, and then they lost.
Yes.
And the band just go, okay, let's move on, and then just start playing. Like just get up and start playing.
Actually, I had a similar experience actually because the band that I'm in was playing this pub during the World Cup, and we thought that we'd got ourselves a slot where England weren't playing. Because that was my thought the whole time we were negotiating this gig. I was just like, look, it's during the World Cup. People just come there to watch the sport. Like, what is the point of putting a band on? They were like, no, it's fine. Like, we'll put you when the England game isn't on. We get there. Like, of course the England game is on.
Two England games are on.
Somehow,
yeah,
somehow I can't. I don't know. I'm not involved with this. And so we get up to play, and there's like this tiny, like little teeny tiny flat screen TV in the corner of the pub. That's like about the size of like a desk computer monitor, and there's like 20 guys huddled around that, and there's about 10 or 15 people who've come to see us. And here's the thing about football guys, right? They're very loud,
Well,
they're not shy with their
me
voices.
Is the belief that seems to be sports fans in general seems to have this belief that the thing that they are doing is the most important thing.
Oh, for sure.
In the world,
Yeah, I mean, I
like,
really like sports,
car,
but like, there's
car
such
fans
a sense of narcissism
are the
to it.
same.
Yeah, and so we're playing our set, and it's like it gets to like a breakdown point in the song, and it gets pretty quiet, and the music focuses on just like one instrument that's playing very quietly, and I'm like, okay, this is actually quite a good performance. We're playing well, we've got a decent sound. The people who are here to see us seem to be enjoying it. And just from the other side of the room, you just hear 20 guys go, "Oh!" no.
Yeah. Oh man.
And yeah, it was one of the more harrowing gigs of my life.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie,
it
one of the more
was. I think
difficult
the
ones.
way to describe it is different.
Different,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I just love this idea of like the OCs just like sitting on bar stools or something on stage, just like
Eating
watching the game.
Doritos, just
Eating
like yeah, like John Dwyer's just sat there shoveling Doritos into his face.
while watching a game that he presumably has no interest in.
None
A passing
whatsoever.
interest, I
He
believe.
had no horses that day. And then I also new thing. There's a band called Starcrawler.
Oh, okay. I'm
Who
not familiar with them.
they're a rock and roll band, like proper sort of like American like rock and roll.
Yeah.
And they released their first album, self-titled album this year. And yeah, no, I saw them at Download, and they were playing at like midday.
Oh, that's the graveyard. At
Yeah,
Download,
yeah,
isn't
they
it?
were playing like I think it was even earlier than that, like 11 in the fucking morning. Like I was like still if I hadn't have driven for like 5 hours to get there. That's not true. If I hadn't driven for 2 hours to get there, I would have been blinking the goddamn dust from my eyes still. And
Yeah.
yeah, so but yeah, they played, and the lead singer is an 18-year-old girl.
Okay.
And she owned that goddamn stage. She had like fake
Nice.
blood. She pretended to die. She put the microphone down her trousers and then like pretended it was a dick and had another member of the band sing into it. And yeah, it was just they were great. And like quite often you see a live band that are incredible. Then you buy their their album and then it's just overproduced or whatever. But like they actually managed to keep some of that lo-fi frosty inside their album. So Starcrawler by
nice.
Starcrawler. Check that out if you're a fan of the metal.
Starcrawler. I'll put links to all of these. Everything we recommend, there'll be links to in the description below if anyone's
And
interested.
totally awesome that Cradle of Filth had a new album out this year.
Oh God, are they even still a band?
Yeah, they are. They are. Okay, they are. And some of us are a big fan of the Filth. Okay, so I'm sorry, but we can't all.
No, I'm not.
We
I'm
can't.
not
We
judging
can't
you
all
at
be
all.
cool people who go out and fucking busk or whatever it is you do. Some of us have to like Cradle of Filth.
It's your cross to bear. Some of us just have to
Some
shoulder
of
the responsibility of
have to do
liking
it.
Cradle of
Some
Filth.
of us think that Castlevania is the greatest game series of all time. Some of us really like Cradle of Filth.
I feel like there's a decent amount of crossover in those two positions.
It's a massive crossover. Absolutely. In fact, I think that it's not even the Venn diagram is just a flat circle.
It's just a giant circle.
Yeah, it's
for sure.
it's the True Detective Venn diagram.
So like I don't know because I remember Cradle of Filth from like the inner back pages of Scuzz magazine.
Is that a thing?
Well, yeah, Kerrang maybe, I don't know, whichever like Metal Hammer, that was what it's called. Scuzz was the TV channel. And I remember like there was this poster of them and like I only know that the lead guy's name is Danny Filth because you made a joke about him on the last podcast. And he's just like faux crucified and they're all in like corpse paint and stuff. And it's just like, where do you go as a band from there?
The answer is
So
up to Satan's house.
Have they like kept it up though? Have they kept up like the costumes and the whole aesthetic?
Oh yeah,
They just,
yeah.
Okay, credit to them for that.
They keep the costumes. The thing is that like we not even make a joke about him. I think I talked about how much I really enjoyed their set at Download at least once throughout the year. It was great, and like he made dad jokes.
That's the most dissonant thing. You got this like 8 foot tall freak in corpse paint.
Oh,
and,
sorry,
and, like...
no, you said 8 foot tall. Danny Filth is about 4 foot.
Oh, really? Oh, that's even better. He's a little
he's
tiny
a
man.
midget of a man. Like he is.
Oh. That's even better.
Yeah, he made a joke about.
Say like, all right, sport, how you doing?
He made a joke about going to other download festivals, but how they weren't like this one because they were illegal downloads. And he was like paused and went, illegal downloads. And I was just like,
did you do gun fingers at the same time?
He knew it was shit, and did it anyway because that's comedy.
I want him to do dad jokes in his singing voice. I want it to be like, I went to the zoo the other day and they only had a dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
That is kind of how it was going, and I loved it. But anyway, yeah, so cool. Yeah, But my album of the year
Yes.
it is by a band called Idols.
Joy as
Joy
an act of
as an
resistance.
act of resistance.
Ah, excellent. Let's talk about Idol's Joy as an act of
Yeah.
resistance more.
Wonderful
What?
album.
Yes,
Oddly enough, first
fabulous
time I've
album.
ever heard of Idols.
Me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too. They've
Like,
had like at least one album out before, and I'd
yeah,
never
they
heard
had
of them.
it was called Tectonics.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Could be, or it couldn't be. I don't know. I'm not an expert. But yeah, no, absolutely fantastic album. Lyrically brilliant. Okay.
Yes.
There's a song called "Never Fight a Man with a Mullet."
Never fight a man with a perm.
Sorry, never fight a man with a perm. Yeah. Well, mullet works as well. If they
Mullet work.
if they're
Mullet
looking
works as
for a sequel, call me.
well.
Right? Never fight a man with a perm. And it's got a wonderful bit of conversation, bit of dialogue about the man of the title, who you should never fight.
Yes.
Where he's like, "You're not a man, you're a gland." A sausage.
You're one,
a
one big
fat,
neck with
big,
sausage
yeah, big
hands.
fat neck with sausage hands. It's like, it's, you know,
And the line after that is,
oh me,
"You are
oh
a
me,
top
oh
shop
my
tyrant."
Roy, you look like a walking thyroid. You're not a man, you're a gland. The big, one big neck with sausage hands. And it's just like, that's brilliant. And all like, it is poetically fantastic. You know, songs like I can't remember the names of them, but like the song about like the fact that we're all immigrants.
Danny Nedelko.
Yep, absolutely
Yeah, that's a good
fantastic
one.
sentiment as well as being a fantastic song.
Yep.
And yeah, no, just absolutely wonderful. I want to go see them after I found out about them, but their gigs sell out in fractions of seconds.
Yeah,
Like-
it doesn't surprise me, and really happy for them
Yeah,
as well.
no, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely amazing album.
They've generated quite a lot of like think pieces about like joy as an act of resistance being this great like deconstruction of toxic masculinity and
Yeah.
and all that. And I don't know if I want to go all the way that far.
Well,
but
it is. You can. It is about that. It's about what it is to be a man. Like, you know,
It's only an examination.
and
of-
like
of
that
but
line. This is why boys never see their fathers cry. You know.
yes,
like,
yeah. This is why you never see your father cry. That one really got me.
Yeah.
Actually, that it really did.
Oh, welcome to the
but,
welcome to the dad club.
Yeah, thank you. Probably going to edit that out.
Well, it's
but
bleep it.
it's all right.
We'll
It's
just
all right.
react
Doesn't,
to it.
yeah, it's all right. He doesn't listen to this.
Or anything I do.
He doesn't listen to the show. But
Or me.
yeah, but I mean, it's a very like it's a very interestingly dissonant experience to listen to this like very very tight, chaotic post-hardcore band with like the gruffest, graveliest singer aggressively telling you to love yourself.
Have you seen his moustache though?
I've seen
It's
lots of live videos of them. It's
Fucking
fantastic.
beautiful.
So, Joy as an Act of Resistance, a fine pick for album of the year, whether you meant it or whether it was your subconscious.
Okay, let's talk about your music.
Okay, so as I've mentioned, Idol's Joy as an Act of Resistance was very much on my shortlist. I really enjoyed Arctic Monkeys' Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino.
You know, I didn't give that the time of day. I really, I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't listen to that.
It's worth a listen.
Didn't we have a conversation about it when it first came out and you said that you hated it?
No. I said the Star Treatment was. I think it's either the first track on the album.
Yes,
or it's
it is. Yeah, it's the one that's got the sort of the Bowie twinge to it.
Yes, well, to be honest, that's the whole album. But I said that it's not very often that I listen to a song and think this was made specifically for me. And
Did you
Star
feel
Treatment
triggered?
was what. Star Treatment was one of those songs for me. And I think I just really appreciate it because it commits. You know, it commits to what it wants to do completely. I can imagine like another, well-established indie band trying to go in a more lounge, laid back, futuristic
They are.
science fiction aesthetic and just committing to it for like a couple of songs or having like bits of texture here and there. But like Arctic Monkeys, like it is a lounge album.
It is,
and
it is not an over-exaggeration to say they're one of the biggest bands operating in the world at the moment.
No, that's
like,
true. That's true.
They are, like, they could just, he could back up to the mic and just slowly, like, part his butt cheeks and just slowly release gas for an hour and a half, and thousands of screaming fans would buy it.
Yes.
And for a band from fucking Sheffield that still, to this, I think, still does work with deprived children to, help them create music, that's incredible.
Yes,
But
it is.
there is the call, which I imagine must be quite a strong call, to get very lazy. I would imagine, if that is the
Yes,
case.
yeah.
If you know that it's going to go quadruple platinum within a heartbeat, why
Hmm.
try?
Why try? But at the same time, like with this album, it feels very loungy, but it's the sort of the exact opposite of being lazy. Because like
Yeah,
lazy for the Arctic Monkeys would just be turning around like another 10 songs of like spiky, indie rock.
yeah. Just
It takes more
AM
effort to.
AM2.
Yeah, sure, and like they could crank that fucker out in like a couple of
Oh,
months.
weekend.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like I trust their ability to make good music.
Hmm.
You know,
I cannot possibly imagine how any of the songs from Tranquility Base fit into their live set. Like, how are you going to put, Star Treatment up? How does that fit in around? I bet that you look good on the dance floor, and Are You Mine, and Suck It and See. Like, how does that fit? I mean, it doesn't.
mm,
So it's, but it's. I appreciate the fact that it's an unusual idea, it's an unusual aesthetic, and it fucking commits to it
yeah.
for the whole album. Really appreciate that. Also, really enjoyed the album by Boy Genius, which was Phoebe Bridgens, one of Phoebe Bridgens' projects for this year. That was excellent. Um, and on a similar note to the OCs actually that you mentioned, I really enjoyed the new album from Daughters. You Won't Get What You Want. One of the best noise rock, like post-hardcore albums that I've heard. Again, like and going back to what you said about the Tom York soundtrack as well, genuinely hard to listen to at points.
Yeah.
I suppose my top two are Saint Vincent, Mass Seduction.
Oh god, that came out this year, didn't it?
It
God,
did
it
come
was a
out this
good year
year.
for music.
It was a good year for music.
Did you listen to
and
Mass Education, by the by?
I do. I have Mass Education on vinyl, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. So for the listeners at home who do not know, Mass Education was the piano version of Mass Seduction.
Yes, it's just piano, stripped down versions of all the songs. There are moments in it where I felt like there were other instruments, but then I saw like a live performance of it, and it's just like he's like whacking the piano and like reaching inside it to fiddle around with its gubbins and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, like this is just like an elevation of what this instrument can do in the context of pop music.
Hmm. Just, I absolutely adore St. Vincent. Very happy to see that in 2019, that St. Vincent and Slater Kinney, my favorite band of all time,
Yes.
are working on music together.
Oh, really? Oh,
St. Vincent
fucking
is
fabulous.
St. Vincent is producing Slater Kinney. They've got a new album slated for this year.
Oh, she's got to appear on it, surely, as well.
I imagine so. I mean, they've been friends.
she's gotta
They
play the
have been
guitar
friends
and
for
do, like-
absolute yonks as well. So.
Oh, good.
But I think my album of the year, it was a toss-up between Mass Seduction by St. Vincent and Bigger Brighter by Lila Foy, and I think I'm gonna have to give it to Bigger Brighter, just because one, it was the album that I just kept coming back to, and also I saw them in, or I saw her rather perform in Shoreditch in November, I think.
Of course you did.
And of course I did. Yeah, I got off the tube at Shoreditch, which, like, if anybody doesn't know, like, Shoreditch is the hipster capital of London.
They handed you your braces and said, "Welcome home."
I got off the tube at Shoreditch, and the first business I saw getting out the tube station was like a table tennis themed bar.
I love
And
the
I was
idea
like,
that
do you ever think that some ideas shouldn't
the
exist?
doors? Well, actually, we have one of those in Leeds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called Roxy's Ballroom.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh God.
Was it Roxy's? Oh,
I
okay.
think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I love
so
the
yeah.
idea that you pull up in the tube, the doors open, there's just like 50 of you sit on the floor, all smoking. Like, Shoreditch is the only place where it's legal to smoke indoors as long as it's a roll up.
I've never felt so pandered to in my entire
You're like,
life.
I'm home. This is my land.
Yeah, so like I saw Lila Foy perform at Hoxton's Bar and Grill in Shoreditch, and yeah, they like just put on a stunning show, and I got talking to I spoke to her for a bit, and I got talking to her band for a bit afterwards, and I was just like, you're just all really, really nice people, and you make really good music, and I just really appreciate that, you know.
Let's talk about films.
Mm.
Yeah,
Let's talk about films.
Let's talk about films. Can you play the film jingle, please?
Oh, yeah, sure, okay.
Suicide Squad to Dracula Blue. It's film review.
So,
my girlfriend is a film reviewer.
oh, cool.
She is currently she currently writes. She's on this. So let me rephrase this in a way that's English. So at the moment, she's currently on I think that the closest approximate word would be a mentor program
Okay.
for Empire. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's hot shit, basically. Like, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, and
I instantly feel inadequate.
Yeah, no, it's great. I do it all the time. Especially in the bedroom. And
Hey.
Gotcha. Yeah, cut that bit. He didn't. It's like I'm
Empire.
expect that goddamn trumpet animation to fucking play.
I hate that you've become self-aware of my editing jokes.
They're the best. Right, so she sees a lot of films, like a lot of films. She talks about films, and that I have never heard of. And I used to think of myself as quite a guy who knew, you know, like, oh, yeah, have you seen this movie? Oh, cool, yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But fuck me, man, I saw very little in the cinema last year. So this is
So this is going to be the lead-in to being like, oh, I saw so many great films.
no, I saw very few. So like, I wasn't working the film festival this year in Leeds.
Sure.
Leeds is a very large, a very large film festival. Leeds International Film Festival, very, very, very good.
Yep.
I saw one film. Like,
Are you fucking kidding?
I was ready to buy the ticket to like the seat, you know, pay 110 quid, see every film type deal.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a singular movie.
So you don't even have a short list then? Your short list
I
is
do,
your
but it's
one
a short film. No, I didn't see a singular film. Like, we have had episodes of this podcast. We talked about Hereditary, which I saw this year. We talked about, you know, Black Panther came out this year. Infinity War
Oh,
came
sorry,
out
I
this
see
year.
what you mean. Sorry, I thought you said that you'd seen one film this year.
No, I saw one film at the film festival. Like, you
Sorry.
know, so I've probably seen a handful of films. I've seen more films in 2018 than I saw. Sorry, I've seen more films in 2019 so far than I saw in 2018.
Oh, well, we'll pick this up in a year when we have a much more
it's like,
exhaustive list.
I'll see you in 12 months. You know, it's been a real steer towards horror as well this year. Last
Yes,
year.
we have spoke about this idea of folk horror before, and we noticed that a lot of horror films aren't just coming out in October now, which I
Yeah.
think we both appreciate.
So, obviously I really enjoyed Hereditary.
Yes.
I say obviously because we've talked about this film already.
Yes, we have a whole
Um,
podcast about hereditary and folk
yep.
horror if you are
You
interested.
should link now. It's appearing on screen.
Sure, it's in the description
Yeah.
of the video.
And you know, you've got your Marvel movies. They're always great. Didn't see Ant-Man and the Wasp though. I was a bit miffed about that. Did you
I
notice?
completely forgot that came out.
Yeah. Did you notice that all films came out within like the first 2 months of the year? So like,
Yes, actually, yeah.
yeah, like they released Solo, a film I didn't see in the beginning of the year, like
Yes.
May time. Infinity War was like March, was it?
Yes,
Was
March
it
or April, I think.
April or March. So you know, I saw a lot of films earlier in the year. So I'm definitely gonna put Black Panther on my shortlist
Okay, fair enough.
because that was an incredible movie.
Again, we also did a podcast about
Yep.
Black Panther.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Not gonna keep talking about it. I saw. So you know Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Yes, I do. I
Garth
love
Marenghi's
Dark
Dark Place was a Channel 4 comedy series back when Channel 4 used to make original content and not just watch somebody else's original content and film that. Okay, it was written by Matthew Holness, who also starred as lead character Garth Marenghi,
Yep.
who is he's a parody of like Clive Barker, basically, like a leather-jacketed, self-important gas bag who writes absolutely abysmal horror novels, but writes fucking loads of them. And there is and he basically the program is like a fake documentary / reproduction of a 80s TV series about a haunted hospital he did. That is an obvious parody as well of Lars von Trier's Reggae TV series that he did,
Yeah.
which is the worst fucking thing. Not because it's bad, but because it's just so horrifying and grim and disgusting
Yeah.
that it's just yeah.
And it's essentially it's filmed essentially as if it's like a behind the scenes documentary about the show.
Exactly.
In that there's like cutaway interviews with talking heads. The guy with like the really reedy voice who does all the voiceovers for Channel 4 is in it. Richard Ayoade is in it as well.
And
just to give
Matthew Barry as well. It's brilliant.
Matthew Berry, thank you. Yeah. And just to give you an idea of the level of humor we're talking about here, there's a shot in the opening credits where the main character rescues a baby from a van, dives over a small wall, and the van explodes.
Yes, it's
and
just-
that shot never appears in any
Yeah,
of the
no, it's
episodes.
classic. The thing is that, like, even though it's a very funny program, you can tell that Matthew Holness, when creating it, had a great affinity and affection for horror films, which is why,
Oh, yeah.
in the year of our Lord 2018, when he actually made a straight horror film,
Oh, did he?
it was incredible. So
What was the film?
It was called Possum. It was based on a short story he wrote,
Okay.
and it was about a disgraced puppeteer with a horrific puppet going back home to go live with his stepfather type person. And
Okay.
it's one of those films that it sort of reminded me of the film The Greasy Strangler, in so much as it's one of those films that just everything is permeated by a thick layer of filth. Like,
Right.
I felt legitimately dirty watching this film because like
God.
everyone's smoking, everything is just grimy and gritty and wrong. All the characters are just so fragile but so broken and so just the word wrong just keeps coming up over and over again.
Yes.
And yeah, so it was a horror film. It is a horror film. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like it doesn't exist anymore. Possum passed away in the late months of 2018. So it was a horror film, and we still hold it in our hearts. No,
It is survived by Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
We remember you well. She was like a candle in the wind, unreliable. No, which is one of my favorite quotes from Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Go out and buy it. You deserve a treat. You do. You know you do.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Hard recommendation from both of us
Yeah,
here.
just
Like,
solid.
yeah, it's
Well,
it's one of
wait,
those shows.
You go do it now.
Yeah,
Just come
pause the
from them.
podcast now. Go and buy the Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. It's a show which is pitched just perfectly over Nick and mine's sense of humor, and we want to share it with you.
We do.
Back to Possum.
But yeah, Possum, really a film that's just got this overwhelming sense of dread from beginning to end. And yeah, no, that was definitely one of my favorite. And the only film I saw at the film festival. The film festival has usually the opening weekend. The Saturday is called Day of the Dead,
Yes.
and it's just an entire day of horror films. And Possum was the first one, and the last one was Suspiria. And I was gonna go and I was gonna watch all of them, and then I had to go pick my parents up from the airport, so that never happened. But so I watched one film at the film festival. It was Possum, and it was really good. But it is not my favourite film of the year. Another film I enjoyed, weird enough, by the director of The Greasy Strangler, was
Yes.
a film called An Evening with Beverly Loughlin,
Okay.
which is available on Netflix at the moment. It was released in October of last year, and it's not a horror film. The guy has directed horror before, but imagine if David Lynch directed a gross out comedy film.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm trying to imagine that.
Yeah, no. So it's got an incredible style to it. It's all very. It seems to exist in its own world of its own logic. So to give it a potted
Okay.
version of it, Lulu Danger, played by Aubrey Plaza, works at a coffee shop where her manager, Sean Danger, is her husband. He's played by Emil Hirsch. They are having financial problems, so Sean decides to rob Lulu's brother, Ajay, who is inexplicably a ginger Indian man with an incredibly effeminate way of moving, who wears jean shorts and cable knit jumpers, who runs an all-vegan market. It's a,
Okay, this could very quickly go off the rails, I think. But
So he decides to rob him, but he's not particularly very good at robbing him, so immediately becomes identified as the robber. Whilst discussing
Okay.
it with a friend inside the laundromat, his problem is overheard by a man called Colin, played by Jermaine Clement, who offers to take his gun to go to his house to shoot off Sean's kneecaps and take his money back.
right.
This all goes terribly wrong when Aubrey Plaza manages to get the gun off Colin, and she makes him and Colin run away with the money to hide out in his hotel, where the hotel is hosting a magical evening with Beverly Loughlin. No explanation of what makes the evening magical, but Beverly Loughlin is played by that guy from Hot Tub Time Machine.
Right. Okay.
I can't remember his name. And Matt Berry again turns up, playing his agent. And it's just a film that has an overwhelming sense of style. Everybody talks in a very particular and affected way, and just it's just very melodramatic, and just again everything's just slightly wrong, and it's just so the humor. So they have their humor doesn't come from what the characters are discussing necessarily, but from the way that they discuss things, the way that the thought processes work, the way that characters behave. Like they'll have somebody will start coughing, but they'll just cough for like a good solid minute, and it stops being funny and it just keeps on going until it is.
Oh, that's very David Lynch. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
just like it reminded me of just Eraserhead in parts, because
Yeah.
like there's a bit in Eraserhead where he's carving the tiny chickens and it just oozing this black mud out of them, and it just
Yeah.
that scene seems to last for fucking ever, and
Yeah.
just there's bits in it where they're having like conversations about shitting as a child, and yet they're talking about it like in such an earnest way for such a long period of time. It just becomes the funniest thing you'll ever see.
Well, it's kind of it's almost like exposure therapy for horror and comedy. isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. It's
In that it's like, okay, we're just going to confront you with this uncomfortable thing and just wait until it becomes funny.
exactly that's exactly what it is. But like even little details like the fact that everyone's number plate says something. So like the dude,
Okay, that I do appreciate.
it's like the dude who drives a car, like one of Sean Dager's accomplices, who's called Tyrone. His car number plate is Bubbles.
Okay.
Um,
So it's not even just like a really on the nose thing about their character. Then it's just
it's just a thing. Colin's number plate says Sizzlin', and Beverly Loughlin's number plate says Luffers, and it's just
Is this ever addressed? Like, do they all just have an aesthetic preference for personalized number plates, or is it just implied that it's all
it's
by
just,
chance?
it's just all the world. It's never addressed. It's just the world they live in is just so perfectly crafted as a strange slice of over-the-top Americana that it's just completely believable. The fashion is incredible. Everyone's wearing like strange 80s, 90s clothing.
Yeah.
Like this is like whenever you see somebody in like their boxes or something, the boxes have got like belt loops and like over-the-top like crotch bulges and stuff. It's all
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's all incredibly stylized and absolutely fantastic. Like one of the little things I noticed was they're in this hotel, this like would have like strong ties to Scotland. The hotel's got like 8 clocks behind the counter, the reception. Each
Oh,
one
yeah,
with a
yeah.
different time, but it like says Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Dundee underneath all of them. It's just stuff like that. So that's another film that I thoroughly enjoyed.
The kind of stuff that you would never think to like mine for comedic potential.
Exactly, just
And not draw attention to it either.
Yeah.
Just have it there as a background.
It's not. It's a film that will.
Yes.
It's a film that will not be for everybody. But in the off chance that somebody will enjoy it, An Evening with Beverly Loughlin is on Netflix at the moment, and probably come off again by the time it's been put online because that's how Netflix seems to fucking work. But my film of the year, Suspiria.
Ooh, okay, go on.
So I didn't want a remake of Suspiria. I didn't think the world needed a remake of Suspiria.
No, because Suspiria came out in the 70s, didn't it?
Suspiria came out in the 70s. Dario Argento being 100% Dario Argento, to the degree that it's one of a trilogy of movies about three witches that basically control all evil on Earth. Horrible things happen to people inside a dancing school, so there's lots of sort of lithe bodies moving around, high contrast colours, blood, gore, sort of the usual Italian horror fare, but just done in such a perfect way. It's a beautiful film. Mark Kermode agrees with me. He talks about it at length inside his Secrets of Horror Cinema, because every single shot of that film is played for maximum tension. To the degree there's a bit where someone just walks across an airport, but with the music, the lighting, the way the camera angles work, even just walking across an airport becomes a masterclass in tension. But we're not talking Stanley Kubrick sort of tension. We're talking a very different kind. Stanley Kubrick did a very bare minimum, sort of stuff. So for example, when Danny Torrance is riding his little trike around the Overlook Hotel, the rolling of the wheels and the constant camera angle builds tension. But with Dario Argento, it's loads of shots, loads of good, solid editing, got a whimsical soundtrack by Goblin. It's all very over the top and very hammy, but it works. So when you hear that there's going to be a remake of Suspiria, directed by the guy who directed Call Me By Your Name,
Okay.
and it's in Germany now, and gosh, I don't know if it was always in Germany, but it's in Germany during the 80s, and you're like, well, why did we need this? Why do we need it? When you find it's 2.5 hours long, and you're like, well, I don't understand. Then you go and watch it, and you're like, this isn't a remake. This is just a complete reimagination. They've just, and to be fair, I don't even. Then I end up questioning myself, going well, maybe we should remake every film ever on it every 10 years, and just.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm completely not opposed to that at all, because a story in its original context, works in different ways once you take it out of that context.
Yeah.
And obviously,
just let visionary directors do what they want with whatever film they want to do.
Yeah, sure. The story is almost immaterial, really, because it's just it's just an excuse for these characters to interact, and obviously that's going to be completely different based on the historical, geographic, and life experiences of the director and the filmmaker.
Well, it's an absolutely perfectly crafted movie. It is visually, it was stunning. Every actor in it is incredible. Specifically Tilda Swinton, who simultaneously plays Tilda Swinton to the max. She plays Tilda Swinton to the max. She plays Bannon Blanc, the leader of the one of the leaders of the dance troupe that the main character becomes a member of, and she's just a flowing, more than human sort of meta person, and it's just absolutely stunning to look at, in the way that she moves, the way she talks, the way she holds herself. She's just massive dose of Tilda Swinton to the face.
Sure,
but
well,
then,
she's known for that sort of performance. You don't cast Tilda Swinton unless that's the kind of performance you want, really, is it? Not to say that she doesn't have a great range, but that's what she's really good at.
She has incredible range. I mean, Snowpiercer, a very disappointing film, I found.
Yes.
But her as Wilson in that film, where she plays this scabatic Thatcher goblin, with his northern accent, delivering weird speeches about how shoes don't belong in your head. That's Tilda Swinton can play anything in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's not a film about witches in a ballet school. It's a film about grief and guilt and forgiveness, and it is incredible.
Well, that kind of goes back to what we were saying about remakes, isn't it? Because those are not the principal themes of the original Suspiria.
Yeah.
And the fact that those themes are being explored here is irrelevant to the fact that the story is ostensibly the same as this film from the 70s. I like this idea that the story is really just texture.
And I was reminded of that because I went to see The Favourite a couple of weeks ago. The Favourite, the Yorgos Lanthimos movie, which received a bunch of Academy Award nominations and fucking cleaned up at the BAFTAs. But Yorgos Lanthimos, the director of The Favourite, created a film called Killing of a Sacred Deer. Which
Oh, was that him as well?
Yeah, which I think I must have mentioned on this podcast.
Oh yeah, that's one of the like canonical films of our
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, that and fucking Suicide
Sallow.
Squad.
Oh, I was going to say for Sallow, 120 Days of Sodom, but yeah, Suicide Squad is almost as gross.
Because Killing of a Sacred Deer is like taking your right testicle and then just smashing it apart with a brick. It's like the most haunting and distressing film. And I knew, because of my knowledge of the director, that The Favourite would have that in it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about The Favourite because that's on my short list of films for best of the year as well.
Well, it came out this year.
No, it came out. It came out over here. I'm sure initial release was end of 2018.
Let's take a look here. Wikipedia's proven you right. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, no, it came out in November. Oh, there we are. Okay, right.
Go
So
on.
30th of August 2018 was when it was released at Venice Film Festival.
Yeah.
23rd November 2018, United States. 1st of January 2019, United Kingdom and Ireland.
Oh fuck. All right, fine. We can talk about The Favourite anyway because I really enjoyed
Anyway,
it.
absolutely fucking amazing film. But it's a film that is quite grotesque.
Oh, it's incredibly grotesque. It's basically It's Always Sunny in the Royal Family.
Yeah,
you know?
basically, it's just a bunch of people being horrible to each other.
It really is. It's,
But like, it's like sexually depraved. Just disgusting. Like, there are some genuinely disgusting scenes in it.
yeah. For context on this, there's a shot where Olivia Colman's character, who is Queen Mary the First.
Queen Anne.
What did I say?
You say Queen Mary the First is Queen Anne.
Oh, sorry. Let me
She's
start
related
again.
to Mary Queen of Scots.
Oh, okay. Let me start that again. Yeah, just for context on this, there's a scene where Olivia Colman, who plays Queen Anne,
You
is...
made. I'm not gonna let it slip that you
Yeah,
just
fuck
edited
off.
this to make you sound smart.
That's exactly what I've done. And the more you
Alright,
talk,
sorry,
the
yes.
more I'm going to cut.
Okay.
Just for context on this, there's a scene where Olivia Colman, who plays Queen Anne, is eating a giant cake, and it's just this like neon and pastel blue and turquoise colored thing, and like she's specifically been told in the previous scene, don't eat the cake because you'll get really ill, and she's just eating it and then vomiting and then continuing to eat it, and
Yeah.
it's done in exactly the kind of close-ups that you would expect. It's
Yeah.
just like you could have shot that differently. You could have just had her like, because there's a lot of shots of characters silhouetted from behind against windows, lots of flat wide angles and stuff. Like you could have done it like that. You could have just had like her eating and then like the sound of her retching and then just do it. But no, we get a close-up of Olivia Colman's face, like, and hair covered in blue vomit. you know?
Yeah, and like there's a character in it who is credited as Wanking Man.
Wanking Man, yes, I remember
Yep.
Wanking Man.
And there is another man credited as Nude Pomegranate Tory. So like there is a real mix of shit going on here. And
can
also,
always
Yorgos Lanthimos, he uses music, but quite often he uses non-musical music as well. I don't know if the technical term for it is, but like non-musical usages of musical instruments. So,
Yes.
for example, there's a repeated motif of just a violin just making one note, slightly
God, yeah.
over and over again, and then another note will come in on the piano, but it's not music; it's just sounds.
Yeah.
And in the same way that in Killing of a Sacred Deer, he'd like use the sort of rumbling sound of an orchestra warming up.
Oh yeah. And that violin sound, like that in particular in The Favourite, crops up. There's a very, very long shot of Rachel Weisz's character walking through the rooms of this palace, and
Hampton
just
Court,
that.
actually, it was like filmed
Is
at
Hampton
Hampton
Court?
Court.
Oh, cool. But there's just this very long shot of her walking, and just that one violin note continues to play, and then like the octave comes in, but it's just slightly not a proper octave. It's slightly flat, and it just hangs on it for what feels like forever. It genuinely feels like it's drilling into your skull after the third minute of it.
But the reason I mention this is that the marketing campaign painted it as quite just as a comedy.
No, honestly, yeah. Like the trailer for The Favorite. If you've been on YouTube at any point in the last month, you'll have seen the trailer for The Favorite, and it genuinely looks like a revisionist, like fun times,
Yeah,
old time comedy. You know.
yeah, and but also at the same time, some of the adverts make it look like a competitor to like something like Mary Queen of Scots, which is well made, well written, well directed, Oscar fluff. It's
Yes.
like fucking Queen Elizabeth the Golden Age. It's just stuff that's gonna get nominations for shit. And Margot Robbie really wants that Best Actress Oscar.
She probably deserves it, to be honest. She deserves it for being in Suicide Squad, to be honest.
No,
Because it was a Suicide Squad episode all along.
That's what it is. It's like fucking Harley Quinn's fever dream. Do you know what? Somebody that Sash works with said that they didn't want to discuss it, but the film was just too explicit for them with regards to The Favorite. And she's like,
That's
what do you mean?
not explicit sexuality.
And I was like, well, yeah, apparently like there's too much lesbianism in it. I'm like, there's barely any lesbianism in it.
There's a more explicit sex scene in
Carol.
well, in Carol, yeah, okay, fine, but that was also rated 15. But there's a more
The
explicit.
Favorite was
That was a 15, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And
at least.
the title card at the start said like strong sex, and I'm like, there's a more explicit sex scene in like The Bourne Identity. Like this is just how hard like LGBT films are shafted in terms of
They really are.
sexuality.
Like,
yeah,
it's
no,
just- yeah.
it's disgusting.
It's fucking abysmal. What else gets
Yeah.
me as well is that like violence and sex, like sex. If you have a hint of sexuality in a film, it shoots up the certificate ranking. Yeah, basically what we're saying here is LGBT characters get shafted.
Yes. So, we've already mentioned The Favorite, which was one of my picks for Film of the Year, cruelly disqualified by coming out in 2019. But again, pick this up at the year and I'll talk about The Favorite again. What else? I really enjoyed Hereditary.
Yeah, that's great.
Didn't want to... Again, I don't want to dwell on it too much because we did do an entire podcast about it. But I did rewatch it in December just to make sure, because I remember really enjoying it, but I was like, did I just enjoy it because it was Halloween and I was constantly happy anyway? No, watched it, can confirm it is still an excellent film.
Also, it's on Now TV now.
Oh, was it really?
I think it's been added like last week.
I gotta say, your picks are making me look like a really lowbrow hack, Nick.
Cool.
Yeah, I know you're going to be completely fine with that.
Did you see Spider-Man: Edge of Spider-Verse?
I did not. No,
So
I heard
good.
it's
That's
good.
Into the Spider-Verse. So good.
However, I did see. I know you're going to hate me for this. I know it's dumb. I know it's the dumbest popcorn film I've seen in ages since the
Excuse
last
me,
one.
I just need to put my seatbelt on for this. Just give me a second.
but
Oh, this is getting seated up. Put
I had
the
a-
headrest up, tray table inside the incline position. Yep, I'm ready.
get ready to brace, Nick, because I thoroughly enjoyed Jurassic World.
Can we move on next?
Yes, of course. Okay, so I think you might hate my top one as well, but so like
This is the last ever episode of Expert.
I think I'm gonna have to. I will probably put Hereditary at number 2, just because
Okay.
I hadn't really, I'd never even seen a film that
I
does
want
that.
some credibility, please.
Yeah, sure. Well, it was my second favorite film of the year. But I think the film of the year, the film that
Can I
last
try and
year-
guess?
Yeah, go on. You can have a guess.
Aquaman?
Yeah, fuck off.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's in keeping.
Yeah, it's in keeping with the kind of
Sorry,
trash
go,
that I normally
go on,
like.
go on.
No, my film of the year is a film that's available on YouTube, and it's called Shrek Retold.
I'm listening.
Okay, so Shrek Retold is a shot-for-shot remake of the 2001 film Shrek. It is made by literally hundreds of artists. I don't know how they divided this up, but whoever was organizing this split the film into hundreds of little segments. Some of them are up to like a minute. Some of them are only about 5 seconds. Distributed these scenes out to as many artists who wanted to work on it, and then each artist recreated that scene in their own style. So you have, and then they just edited it all together. All the songs are re-recorded in whatever artist style chose to do the songs. So you'll have this. It's just the most jarring, whiplashy experience I've ever seen in film, because like you'll have a scene of claymation followed by weird like CGI Gary's mod stuff, followed by a live action scene, followed by traditional animation. Somebody animates their section of the film using the Game Boy camera and the Game Boy printer, and it's just the most bizarre experience that kind of reaffirms your belief in the ability for humans to work together on some all work together on something creative. And it's for a remake of Shrek. It's just the most I mean, these people didn't come together to build a bridge, or build like a road to somewhere. They came together to remake a 2001 DreamWorks film.
This is incredible.
Honestly, it's wonderful. And like I think because we often talk about the director of a film. And one of the things we really advocate for is the writer director. And you're sitting in the cinema, you're watching a film, and it gets to the end, credits roll, and maybe you stick around. Like if it's a Marvel film, you stick around for a bit because there's an extra credit scene. Generally, it comes up, directed by, written by, produced by, and then you get to like starring, and then you're pretty much out of the cinema by that point. But like those credits go on for minutes and minutes because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people work on these films. And I think when you watch a film which is a very singular story, it's easy to forget that. What Shrek Retold does, it puts the collaborative nature of film right up in your face, in that there's no time to get settled into one scene because it will cut and then you just have a completely different art style to work with. And it's just wonderful. It really is. I watched it expecting to watch 10 minutes of it and be like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And then just never watch the rest of it. I watched the entire thing just open mouthed.
I've got it in front of me. It's absolutely insane.
It's wonderful. It's just like
why
would you all do this?
And then it just suddenly just cuts to black and white photo montage with like pink hints on it, and like it's so surreal. Like this has gone from like standard animation to this sort of like really weird surrealist French style, and then just cuts to some like felt tip pen drawings.
It's
reminds
like
me of
it's
Bart.
like that the whole way.
Reminds me of Bart Kira. Do you know about Bart Kira?
No, I do not. What
I
is that?
managed to get a hold of a copy of the exhibition catalog for this, or like the sort of the accompanying. Me and Sash went to London recently. We went to Gosh Comics, and they had some copies of the exhibition catalog. Basically, it was a show where they got I think it was like 400 artists to redraw Katsushiro Otomo's Akira.
Oh, okay, right.
With the Simpsons characters in it.
Okay. Oh
So,
no, I think I
so,
have
like,
seen this.
Nelson Van Alden plays like Tetsuo, Bart's Kaneda, and like the mayor is like the politician, and like Ralph Wiggum is like Akira, and it's really it's amazing. And just having like the idea that you've taken a 4,000 page manga famed for its detail and it's like tiny sort of like just elements that make up this huge picture, and then redrawing it with the Simpsons characters, but again in just hundreds of different styles. Again, it's where the art, in many ways, I think this is going to be similar with the Shrek film. The actual end product is less important than the action of making it.
Oh, that's exactly true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
because Shrek Retold, like texturally, Shrek Retold, it's Shrek, but it's the marvel that it exists,
Yeah.
and it's the marvel that so many people came together to work on it, and I think, and especially with the Akira thing as well, because like that's true of all film. Like all film has, like all films that make it to cinema have like hundreds of people working on them, but it's never. And I suppose the same is true with comic books as well. Like you have, at the very least, you'll have like a writer and an artist and a colorist and a sometimes like a line artist and a letterist and all that kind of stuff. But the art of comic books and the art of film is to disguise those joins, you know, so that you don't know, like in Star Wars, like, you know, you don't know when Marcia Lucas and was editing one shot and then it cuts to a shot that somebody else edited, you know, like that's the art of those mediums is to disguise those joins. And what the Simpsons Akira and what Shrek Retold does, it just says, no, we are going to make those joins the entire reason to watch this, you know, because there's no, we were talking about remakes earlier, there's no point to remaking Shrek just as a YouTube film unless you're going to do something like this, you know, unless you're going to just put all the differences right up front and center and not only make no effort to disguise them, but have the wild inconsistencies between styles just be the point.
Well, I'm very happy that you've picked this as your film of the year. It reminds me of why I like you.
Thank you, Nick. That's very sweet of you.
Fucking